Like many other teens, Tom Warmeal has a new part-time job. But for Tom, this is more than a job. He's had to overcome major physical and mental disabilities to get this far, and he didn't do it alone. This is Tom Brady, Tom's ally. He's a special dog trained to work with kids like Tom. The results have amazed his family.
It's been a real, almost like a blossoming or coming out of his shell. It's been wonderful to watch.
Watching Tom and Tom Brady play together today, it's easy to forget just how different things were 2 years ago. Tom was born with a viral disease that causes vision impairment, hearing loss, and mental disabilities. Despite extensive therapy, as he grew up, Tom was increasingly distant from everyone around him, even his father, Dan.
Before we got Tom Brady, he spent a lot of time just wanting to watch television. He felt safe and secure by himself. Tom was very isolated. He was almost nonverbal. He did not communicate well with people.
Even a family hike was a problem.
Come on, Tom.
Tom trailed behind, lost in his own world.
He couldn't hike with us, he couldn't stay with us. If someone always had to keep an eye on Tom, he wanders off. So there was also this safety problem. As he was getting older and was not able-bodied socially or physically, it was getting to be more and more difficult just to do things and go places.
But Tom's parents would not give up. They found out about Canine Companions for Independence. Here in Santa Rosa, California, the organization trains service dogs to help people with disabilities. A service dog knows how to perform many tasks, and providing constant companionship and emotional support is just as important. This litter of lab retrievers were born at the center. It was a year and a half before 17-year-old Tom met Tom Brady. From the beginning, there were high expectations.
Tom Brady, let's go!
During their 2 weeks of training together, the crucial question was whether they would be a good match.
You could see them really forming a relationship right from the very start. And she just reacted to Tom very strongly, and he picked up on that and reacted to her very strongly. Tom Brady, it turns out, just loves children and young people. And she's very affectionate and very emotional with them. Tom Brady and Tom went everywhere together. Wherever Tom went, Tom Brady went. They just immediately bonded.
Soon it was official. Tom Brady and Tom graduated together.
Tom Brady is an energetic girl, very much suited for this active family, and they look forward to experiencing the great outdoors with Tom Brady.
Now, Tom Brady and Tom were a team. Tom was pleased, but would Tom Brady succeed where so much else had failed?
We were hoping that he would be able to make friends, he would be able to learn to maybe communicate a little bit better in public and learn the social skills and the life skills. So we really had quite a bit of expectation and hope. We weren't sure that these could be met, but that's what we were hoping for.
Over the months, Tom and Tom Brady drew closer. Tom Brady brought Tom out of his isolation. Tom Brady was trained to obey commands, to follow a leader. Slowly, Tom became that leader.
Tom has learned responsibility from Tom Brady. One of Tom's job is to feed her. He takes this job very seriously.
So does Tom Brady. She even puts away her dish after lunch. Tom Brady also has a calming effect and helps Tom face things that scared him just a year ago.
Okay, Tom, remember these things? I'm just gonna put it next to your ear. Okay.
A simple ear examination used to make Tom scream with fear.
Okay?
Facing the doctor with a friend makes a big difference for Tom and for his mother, Holly.
He's able to get through those doctor's appointments. It's been wonderful for me. I can leave the doctor's office and be grateful we survived.
Tom is independent enough to go to school without Tom Brady. So Holly takes Tom Brady to the pool where she works.
She likes having an activity to do. So this keeps her skills up and gives her something to do. So one of the things that she likes to do at the pool is swipe the card, which means she greets the customer at the counter, gets their card, brings it over to me, and then I swipe it, give it back to her, and she trots back over to the counter and gives it back to the customer. It's one of the things she always gets a pat on the head for, so she loves it. Get. Good girl. Tom Brady, counter.
Tom Brady knows more than 70 commands.
Good girl.
Far more than is needed in the Warmill household.
Good girl.
But Holly likes to keep Tom Brady in top form.
Tom Brady, soda. Even though she graduated with a lot of commands, we went ahead and taught her some more because she thrives on learning new things. Good girl, good job.
What's most impressive to the Warmill family is what Tom Brady has helped Tom to learn over the last 2 years.
Oh, so many great things have happened since Tom Brady has come into the family.
Things like Tom's improved verbal skills, which have been building since they met.
You know, you gotta say with the oh.
No,
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
That's better. She understood it better.
By learning commands and by learning to speak to Tom Brady, he began to realize I can speak to people. I can tell people the name of my dog and how old she is. She essentially was doing speech therapy with Tom.
Buy them on Sunday.
They were in the newspaper, so people came to the restaurant to check it out. Having a conversation with my son is a wonderful thing. Before, he didn't form his words well. Now we can sit and chat, and he can tell me how he feels about things, and we have conversations, and we go, wow, we just had a conversation. It's nice. Nice visit.
Now that Tom could speak and be understood, he was eager to make friends. He even joined the Boy Scouts.
He gets around and talks to people in public, and that's one of the big improvements we've seen. Just things that would have been just unthinkable, really, before Tom Brady.
Tom is 20 years old now, and he's able to enjoy a hike with his family. These days, Tom even takes the lead.
Physically, he's more fit. He walks around with the family. He's active. So it's made us a lot more able to do things as a family. And that's made, you know, a whole new world both for us and for Tom and Tom. We now have a son who is self-confident. He can go places with us. Tom has something we always had hoped, and that is he has a job.
He has a lot of self-esteem. I think he's prouder now. He's growing up, and that's nice to see.
Today, Tom Brady, Tom, and the family are ready to, well, have a ball. It's not Tom's birthday, it's Tom Brady's. Tom Brady is 4 years old. He even has canine guests for the party, and the Warmill family has a lot to celebrate.
Just keep
You would like to see your son as independent as possible, being able to do things independently. And with Tom Brady, he's been able to reach new levels that he would never have reached before. We're convinced of that.
There are still challenges ahead for Tom, but the last 2 years with Tom Brady have given Tom and his family hope for an even greater independence. This is traditional Japan, a land of Buddhist temples, classical architecture, and ancient crafts. And one of the oldest and most respected crafts is the making of ningyo, or dolls. For 170 years, the Sekiguchi family have made dolls. Hiro Sekiguchi is a fourth-generation master doll maker. But there's another side to Hiro, also known as Hiro, and it isn't very traditional, and it isn't very Japanese. Hiro and his dog Rosa are practitioners of the very modern sport of canine frisbee. They're called Frisbee dogs, flying dogs, or disc dogs. Whatever you call them, Rosa is a champion competitor. She's a 7-year-old Japanese Labrador, and she just loves to catch that flying circle of plastic, and she's very good at it.
Everybody thinks my dog is like other dogs. But Rosa is spiritually and physically very strong. I think these are the biggest qualities that make her a great dog.
Hiro lives in Saitama, a distant suburb of Tokyo, and although his house is roomy by Japanese standards, it gets a little crowded when you meet all the inhabitants.
Goma and Ichiro, Yorkshire Terrier. This is my wife.
Hiro's household includes his wife, 2 daughters, and 7 dogs, including Rosa.
This is Rosa.
We suddenly started having so many dogs compared to other normal households. We can say that this is really different. But the dogs are all really cute, so I am kind of used to it.
Many Japanese families have a pet, but not so many of them, and it's very rare to have them live in the house.
My opinion is that if you really want to train dogs, you have to eat together and sleep together. Be in contact with them all the time and really get acquainted with them, even if it looks as if you're overdoing it.
Catching frisbees is fun, but canine frisbee is a real sport with real competitions. So Rosa and Hiro practice every day for hours. It takes focus, dedication, and talent, and Rosa's got all 3. Practicing in the backyard is good for Rosa's coordination, but there's only so much you can do in a small Tokyo back garden. To get their full practice in, Rosa and Hiro have to travel outside of Saitama. It's a lot to ask of a dog, but Rosa's not complaining.
Rosa has a very stable character. I think she's very confident. She understands the reasons why she's here.
Rosa's here to get training for the big time. Hiro is the Japanese Frisbee Association's head training manager, and in the 4 years he's been training Rosa, she's won 4 Japanese competitions. Now they're preparing to head to the mecca of canine frisbee, the USA.
If compared, the US has rather a superior level to Japan. So my ranking doesn't really matter to me, as long as I can play together in their competitions under their blue skies.
And their first big trip to the U.S. is just days away.
Welcome to the Alpha Canine Frisbee Disc Championships. That's right, dog. The dogs know how to react. That's the appropriate response.
Rosa and Hiro have made the long journey all the way from Japan. Canine Frisbee has been an organized sport for more than 25 years, and the top dogs from all over the eastern U.S. are here to jump and catch in this one day of competition. Rosa and Hiro are a bit nervous. It's one thing to dream of the big time. Now they're here for their very first American competition.
We're going to start with the sport division first. You're allowed up to 2 practice throws with or without your dog. You always have to throw from behind the line.
Go!
The first event is catch and retrieve. The dog and the owner attempt to make as many successful throws and catches as possible before they run out of time. Uh-oh, these dogs are good. Maybe too good. Then again, not everybody's so perfect. Maybe Rosa and Hiro stand a chance, even in the big time. Now it's Rosa's turn, and all that practice back in Japan seems to be paying off.
10 seconds remaining.
As the clock runs out, Rosa is doing well.
5,
very well.
4, 3, 2, 1. Time.
It looks like Rosa is holding her own. And now for the tough freestyle event. With musical accompaniment, dog and owner go through an elaborate and acrobatic choreography. Rosa and Hiro haven't seen dogs this good back home.
Hiro, Sekiguchi, and Rosa from Saitama, Japan. Hiro has traveled all the way from Tokyo, Japan to compete here today. Konnichiwa, Hiro.
Freestyle is demanding. The timing is split second. Rosa and Hiro's plane arrived just 3 days ago, and it looks like nerves and jet lag have taken their toll. It's not Rosa and Hiro's best day at this event. But Rosa's a true athlete. She never gives up. And by the end of the routine, Rosa has hit her stride. After all, she's a dog with spirit and talent.
I think most of us have a one-of-a-kind furry friend member of the Fly Nest. Very competent, very skilled, highly educated nurse vet technicians in the Alpha Town.
Hiro's worried. Could they have made this long journey for nothing? But in the end,
with 63.5 points, in 4th place, number 4, from Saitama, Japan, via Tokyo, Mr. Yukihiro Sekiguchi and Rosa.
they come in 4th. Not bad at all for one of Canine Frisbee's top events. Rosa and Hiro can go back to Japan with their heads held high, and then practice for next year. Gabe for short, is camp counselor at Camp Ruffnet, a wilderness retreat for dogs and their owners. Gabe, the golden retriever, welcomes new campers and participates in first aid, cooking skills, arts and crafts, and agility on the obstacle course. Like all camp counselors, Gabe's time just never seems to be his own. Gabe does his best to show the campers' owners what a dog's life is really like. And as usual, the camp vet, Mary Plischke, does the talking.
Gabriel and I started doing the demonstrations in the first aid classes because it made it so much more sense to see things instead of just be told about them. So you have a cut foot and you want to make a nice, neat bandage, you just turn this under and mold it to it. I show people their teeth and how to check their ears and how to trim the nails and how to brush them out because he's got a lot of hair that needs to be brushed out regularly.
Gabe's programs also include the creative side of canine life, such as paw printing, barks and crafts, and woof this down cooking.
And the dogs get it full-time attention for 2 days, something that we don't generally have time to do at home.
No matter what the camp day brings, Gabe puts his best face forward and keeps them all happy campers.